No one gets to heaven alone, to heaven alone, to heaven alone. No one gets to heaven alone. We get there side by side, side by side, side by side, side by side. We get there side by side. No one heals the world on their own, the world on their own, the world on their own. No one heals the world on their own. We're healing side by side, side by side, side by side, side by side. We're healing side by side.
So our theme for the stewardship campaign this year is growing our future together. And the reason that we came up with this phrase is there are a number of changes and challenges that we're going through right now. One of the main challenges and changes that we have been going through is the pandemic. And so I want to share a little bit of a story from Shannon Harper, who is our UUA Central East Region representative. And so here's the story. So pre-pandemic, we had a garden. And the garden had beautiful parts to it, you know, beautiful, vibrant areas, well kept. And then there were some messy parts to the garden, some untended to, some neglected areas that needed some attention. But at that point in time, that's where we were. So then a flood came and washed over our garden. Our garden became covered. And that was obviously the pandemic. And so we all retreated to a place of safety and challenged ourselves to find a way through that. Supporting each other as best as we could through virtual togetherness. So then we come to the liminal stage, which is just past the pandemic, really taking stock of where we are and looking at, you know, the damage that has been done to our garden and what does it look like. And it does not look the same. It needs to be, we need to plan. What will the garden be going forward? How will it look? How will we address those areas that had been neglected before? And what we plan for is not going to be the same as what it was in the past, and it shouldn't be. So then we come to the post-pandemic garden. And that's where we are now. We've done some of that planning, and we are starting towards our future. The other major changes and challenges that we have are we have two new leaders in our programming world. We have Olga Martinez, who is leading our music programming, and she's doing a fabulous job, and she wants to grow that program.
I think one of my biggest visions is making Albany UU the choral center of community singing. We had the honor of hosting Matt Meyer and his Rhythm for Choir, and we had 4 different groups here, including Albany UU, Capital Pride Singers, Albany Gay Men's Chorus, and the Schenectady UU, and some of their choir members. And it was just such a joy to be together, and it really inspired me to think bigger. And I think that in the future we'll be hosting more longer workshops here with different choral directors, and what it provide for us is a community engagement that we really haven't had before. And Albany UU will be seen as a supporting member of the singing community. So this year has been a real joy for me working with Elizabeth and us really engaging the kids, not just with music, but also engaging them in music with the family chapel and connecting it back to our big service. And it allows the kids to see how everything that we do is interconnected. We don't just do it there, we do it here too. And our development of this will seed, hopefully, a youth choir for next year because the kids will have now engaged with me, so I'm developing relationship with those families and those kids. Learning about communities that I didn't realize I wasn't connected to. Being here has allowed me to see those voids and those spaces in which I need to be more proactive in connecting. And also just engaging with communities that I already am aware of, but more deeply engaging with them, like in our own voices. I had the pleasure of helping one of their staff members, put together an event that was actually hosted here, and I came to it, and we had a member of our community perform there. And it was just a really great way to develop deep and meaningful relationships with these institutions. My hope in the future is to continue those as I now begin to explore other communities that I have not engaged with and make, again, the Albany UU a place of engagement throughout the Capital Region and beyond.
And then we have Elizabeth Baldas, who is our new DRE, and she too is wanting to grow the children and youth program.
So one of the things that I'm actually the most happy about right now is that after all of the identification and visioning work that we did with the interim RE consultant last year with Michelle Grove, the Religious Education Council identified its priorities, and we have absolutely followed through on all of them this year. We can't do everything at once, but we've been extremely successful. Keeping our core group of fantastic families and volunteers engaged. We have also an amazing number of volunteer hours that get put in every year. It's well over 1,000. We wouldn't be able to do this program without all of the help we have from our volunteers. You can't even put a value on how much time and effort they put into this. But we've worked on our partnerships, we've worked on how we look, to the public, we've worked on strengthening our internal relationships, and I'm really excited because we identified what we wanted to do and we've been able to do it. So that's a nice feeling. So one of the big differences this year and in recent years is that we have become users of a subscription curriculum service. Instead of relying on a fixed curriculum, we have started subscribing to the Soul Matters curriculum, which ties in with the church's larger monthly theme of the month, because we're doing that as well. So that's been really good for us. And with that, we get the theme of the month, which we focus our family chapel around. And because we're using that curriculum, we also now are spending time with different stories. We used to always have this sort of the same stories from the Tapestry of Faith curriculum that tried and true that we would rely upon, but now we're being exposed to a much wider range of children's stories, picture books, things like that. And we do support the authors and creators involved by purchasing the material. And it's been fantastic for us because it's also allowing us to create a resource for our families where they can bring the books home or look at them while they're here. Something I'm working on in partnership with the Joy Library team right now is developing a lending library so that families will be able to take these stories home and spend some time with them, because it's a great way to absorb our UU values. Last year, the Religious Education Council decided that it was a real priority to put time into developing relationships with teams like Social Justice Team, Inclusivity, Green Sanctuary. That's already starting to pay off this year. We've done a couple letter writing campaigns. We're working with Inclusivity. Our youth group is going to be working with the Inclusivity team on our welcome for LGBTQ plus people. We have had success lifting up the book lists from Inclusivity with our families. They do a great job of including books that are good for children and youth. It has been super exciting to be able to offer in person, again, our core Albany UU programming. We had sort of taken a break from doing any of Our Whole Lives. This year we ran a full year grade 8 and 9 Our Whole Lives program, and we've just kicked off our kindergarten first grade OWL program, and that's super exciting. We've also welcomed a brand new facilitator onto the team this year, which is great. So we have 3 experienced veterans and a new person. The K1 OWL program gets a lot of interest from younger families. It's something that is not available anywhere else, and so it's also a mark of pride for us because the authors are members of our congregation and worked closely with our religious education team, including Leah when she was here, as well as some of the current facilitators to develop the material. So we are extremely proud of our K1 OWL.
So we're looking to add to those programs and strengthen them even further. And then we have staffing changes. We have Tammy, who has announced that she'll be leaving the end of March, and we are re-envisioning how we will structure the administrative position and the administrative support position for the church to ensure that we can adequately and appropriately cover the duties, but also place a focus on our marketing and outreach to the community and growth. And then, as you're all aware, Sam has announced his retirement come June 30th. And he has given us 23 wonderful years of service. So we're busy about planning to send him off on his retirement. And we're also beginning the work on finding an interim minister. And then ultimately we'll be doing a search for calling a minister in about 2 years. We should be done with that process. So yes, if all goes well. So those are the changes and challenges that we're facing. And so this year, more so than other previous years, it's that much more important that we all roll up our sleeves, get ready to tend to that garden, and we'll need your resources, both in person, talent-wise, and also treasure-wise. We will need to invest in that future. Thank you.
Talking about the campaign, I think one of the things that I always think about with regard to stewardship is Winston Churchill's quote, which is, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." And I've always liked that quote as a real sort of a touchstone for stewardship campaigns. And the other thing that we're doing that's unique this year is we are having a challenge. And it's been about 12 years since we had a challenge. And the last one we had was coming out from the last recession. And so this one I think is critical because we're coming out from COVID and all of the opportunities we have now to grow again in the future. And also I think it's a time when we can look to our future. And one of the things we want to assure anyone who's coming to work for us, both in the interim minister and the settled minister and the administrative assistant, is that we really are a financially viable organization. So I think it's really critical this year that we meet the budget that we put together. We have a zero balanced budget. To make that, we have to get roughly a 7% increase in pledge income. And so that's why we decided this year to go ahead and create a challenge, and hopefully we'll be successful in folks coming forward and being generous and meeting that challenge.
What I think about when I think about growing our future together is the opportunity for change. And these are big changes coming up, and they can sometimes feel scary, you know. I can see that. I can understand that. But the positive side of that is it presents a great opportunity for us. And I'm really excited to invest in that opportunity, to invest in our future so we can grow our future together here at Albany UU. And that is why I'm going to be increasing my pledge. Because remember, not only am I the church administrator, but I'm also a member here. And I want to see Albany UU succeed, which I know it will because of all the great people and all of the great opportunities that we present. That's what I want to invest in, what I believe our future can be.
No one does the work on their own, the work on their own, the work on their own. No one does the work on their own. We're working side by side, side by side, side by side, side by side. We're working side by side, side by side, side by side, side by side. We're healing side by side, side by side, side by side, side by side. We get there side by side.